Well, thank you very much. Do you remember me? Half an hour ago. Thank you very much. And I'm very happy to be the moderator of this roundtable about going international. I think the guys I will introduce right now have a successful story to share with us. And I asked them to join to tell us about their story and how are they successful abroad and how did they become international. I would like to introduce first Issa Slimani. He's the founder and head of Paylogic. I'm asking Yassir Humam to join me, please. Founder and head of Cassiope. And last but not least, Tariq Fadli, Algo Consulting founder and CEO. Yes, he's very famous. Yeah, we know. So thank you very much all for joining us. Please take your mics so we can make it efficient. When we start a venture, when we start a new venture, we tend to focus on our country to start our business, to sell in the country where we start the venture, where we start the business. But sometimes it can be easier to start in some foreign countries, to start abroad. Then I think when you decide to go abroad, you will face challenges, you will seize opportunities, and in terms of making business or in terms of raising money, and these subjects will be the guideline and roadmap for this discussion today. So first of all, I would like each one, please, to introduce yourself, introduce your company, and tell us how did you get started and how you became entrepreneur. So Issa first.
Thank you, Shafir. My name is Issa Slimani. I'm general manager of a company called Paylogic, which is acting in the payments industry. So we are mainly software provider for financial institutions, mainly bank. Today we are present in around 21 countries, and we are providing our solutions for 40 or 42 banks. We started this business 9 years ago, starting from scratch, by a small dream that is changing the life of billion of African population. How can we impact their lives? This was the idea. I think that we'll have more chance to explain you what we have done exactly for this population. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 9 years ago, he was a startup just like a lot of you today. Yassir, what about yourself?
Hello, my name is Yassir. I'm the co-founder of Cassiope.
Could you please speak up, please?
We are a software editor company. We started back in 2001. And the initial idea was to create value in Morocco by doing software engineering here in Morocco for European projects. And so we did for the first 7 years, and then we turned to the Moroccan market. Our first project that we won was against Sun Microsystems back in 2001. It was very tough, but we had the opportunity to compete with one of the biggest players by that time. And we had this first project, and then we had different other projects, mainly in Switzerland and France. And during all the 15 years, we continuously invested in R&D. Basically, almost 30 to sometimes 60% of our human resources are dedicated to R&D. And last 2 years, we turned to be a software editor. So we have today a software solutions and basically one big software solution that we think is quite innovative and that today we are trying to sell all over the world, and we're trying to go global with it.
Well, great, thank you. What about you, Tariq?
First of all, thank you for the invitation. My name is Tarek. I'm part of Algo Consulting that I founded 8 years ago. We're now about 50 people. We started as a one-man show. We started mainly as a Microsoft partner working in Morocco, and throughout 8 years, we worked in several projects in Morocco and also in North Africa. And in the last 3 years, we've been changing a little bit of strategy to become more of a solutions editor than a services provider. And this year, we're facing new challenges, having to deal with growth and expansion. And we're heavily and aggressively trying to target the African market.
Okay, so you see, it's an evidence they are successful after 8, 9, 10 years experience and growth. They have built a company is successful in Morocco and going more and more global. But sometimes it's not as easy as it looks 10 years after. Isa, tell us about your first client, your first challenges when you just started your company.
I'm just joking, maybe, because you know more than anyone how difficult it was. Before getting to my first customer, let me talk about my first prospect. So my first prospect was in Comore, Ireland. I took 3 days flight going from Egypt to Yemen to Comore. And it cost me, I remember it very well, $4,200 US.
He was hungry.
So this was the first prospect. I've never been success to get it. My first customer was in Sudan. Why is in Sudan? Because when we are trying to find our first customers, we have very particular field where our customers are very few in each country. So we can only focus on 20 or we have only 20 or 30 potential customers, which are banks in each country.
Maybe just few words about your business.
Our business, we are providing software for the bank where you are doing transaction on an item or on paying on internet, on point of sale. It's a kind of our software which is managing this transaction to the bank.
So you have a software that manages financial
all the transactions. For example, maybe starting from the beginning of this conference, of this 4 minutes before, our software should have managed around 30,000 US dollars approvals of transactions within 3 or 4 minutes. Only.
Okay, so we understand. Your clients are very few in every country.
Exactly.
So?
With very few, already most of them already equipped with other solutions. Okay, means that we have potentially 1 or 2 customers each year with very big competition. Our competitors came from Russia, 5,000 engineers, from US, 7,000 engineers, and so we are a very, very small company, and we are competing on the same deals.
Wow.
So we started in Sudan. Why? Because in Sudan, this kind of competitors can't be there. There is embargo, there is risk, wars, all that we know. So mainly, sometimes when we are trying to find our first references, our first customers, we can just try to start by where it's the most easy to find it. And after 10 years, today, when we see our geographic location, we are just comparing our geographic location to the 20 countries we are existing today, compare it to doing business reports in the world, we will find that we are present at 70% of the hardest countries where you can do business in the world. This is not a risk, this is not a challenge, we consider it as an opportunity. And once we succeed in such markets, we can target the world.
So I think you delivered a very, very good message to all of us, because sometimes you have to go after the business somewhere in the world where you were not born.
Exactly.
And seize the opportunity. The opportunity for you was Sudan because of the embargo, but then you could gain their confidence and you could build a portfolio across 20 countries in Africa.
Right.
Well, we'll come back to this later on, but please applause. Well, Tariq, you were living in the US, you were CTO, and you decided to come back tomorrow, launched Algo Consulting in a partnership with Microsoft. You are a good seller, and you could sell a lot in Morocco. But recently, you have launched a new product. And this product seems to have other challenges, and probably you will be less successful selling it in Morocco than abroad in the first years. Can you tell us a little bit about your new products, new projects, and how do you see the future?
Well, the new project started out like most ideas, a crazy idea. Actually, throughout, when I started Algo, I've always searched for an original idea, something that will distinguish Algo from the competition. And no matter how hard I kept thinking about it for years, it just never came, you know, the type of Facebook or WhatsApp kind of idea, and why not in Morocco? So one day I was in city council, in Arabic, muqata'a, and I just realized that, you know, this repetitive service that all Moroccans have to go through is just heavy. It's just heavy bureaucracy, and it's not ready to change. So we could wait years and years, and then I got into the idea of thinking, you know, we can either wait 30 years, 40 years, and then things will change, or we have to do something about it. Especially during the same week, I read an article about President Obama dedicating a budget of $15 billion to have a paperless administration by 2025. So I thought to myself, if Americans can achieve this in 2025, when would Moroccans do this? And I started thinking, okay, what's the problem? So the problem wasn't technical. The problem wasn't that we don't have IT resources. The problem is not that we don't have the will or volunteer to do so. The problem is simply societal trust. We have a trust issue between the administration and the citizens. So can we enable this trust throughout technology? So we came up with this idea of having this kiosk that we could put in place, and that allows people to register once. And once they're registered biometrically, they can't commit fraud. And then they can process all their requests remotely throughout mobile or internet. For instance, signature notary, residence certificate, birth certificate, any type of document. And we want to give the solution for free to the administration or the government, and have the citizen pay for the transaction. So that's kind of the business model we developed. And as far as challenges goes, yeah, it's challenging. It's a huge challenge because it's a change. And change, first of all, is difficult. And then change in government is more difficult than just change. So we've been, pushing forward. We participated in many innovation competitions. We won many honorable prizes. However, the demand is not coming from inside. The demand seems to be coming from outside. So technically, our first client for this solution is Guinea-Conakry. And we're constantly being contacted. Actually, last week we were contacted by Madagascar and Algeria as well. So I don't know how that's gonna pan out. So that's what's going on.
Nothing is impossible for you. So once again, we could see that it's probably sometimes better to look after the business outside and see in other countries whether we can sell our products. And I think this is one of the main messages we want to deliver. But when we're going outside and when we go into Western countries sometimes, we face some difficulties, some other challenges, and Yassir can tell us about his state-of-the-art software, because when you want to sell it abroad, in Western countries mainly, people are amazed to see how Moroccan could have this type of technology, and at first glance they even don't believe you.
Exactly. Basically, let me first introduce what we have developed. Over the 15 years and the continuous investments in R&D, we have developed a platform that today basically allows us to implement or construct any information system without coding. Today, with this platform, we reduce the cost by over 60%. Let's imagine the information systems world. You have basically two choices: either buying ERPs, ready-to-go solutions, or doing software development. What we created is something between the two that has a maturity of ERPs and still the flexibility and agility of coding without having all the drawbacks of software implementations, without coding, basically, without generating code. So it's very flexible, very agile. And the biggest challenge that we are facing when we present this is abroad. First of all, they ask us, where are we coming from? When we say Morocco, they said, how come? How come that you're coming from Morocco? In the US, it's even more. Where is that country? I have...
Please, for you, a citizen in this place, tell them that Morocco is somewhere in the region, and we're catching up, I hope, very quickly with all these young people in StartUp.
Awfully mixed with Monaco, but...
Yeah.
And yes, when I presented, I got feedback we're more used to oranges and sardines from Morocco than software solutions and innovative software solutions. So yes, presenting an innovation coming from Africa is very challenging. Presenting it abroad is very challenging.
So how do you make deals with them? How do you transform this into closed deal, done deal?
Yeah, we try to get them interested enough to ask for a demonstration. And then it's almost done, because once we have the opportunity to show them, to build a POC for them, then it's almost done. But we need to get to this point, and basically the first wall to go over is innovation coming from Africa, and it's very challenging.
So you have to deliver a proof of concept, tangible results.
Every time. Yeah. And basically when we ask for a use case, a real word case that they want us to try on, they would give us the hardest thing they have. But still we can achieve it, deliver it in very, very, very short time. And basically this is the best way we do sell today our solution.
Okay, so the first countries you sold to were Switzerland, France, and then?
Middle East, Emirates, and African countries. And we're trying to go overseas also to the US. There are big, big opportunities there. But I think we're facing also other challenges, financial challenges to go global. But okay. I think we'll talk about it.
Okay. So back to Tariq. He just talks about tangible results and proof of concept. Is this something that you face as well, and you had to deliver on your commitment, not only based on the concepts, but based on facts and real products before you could sell?
Absolutely. When we first started, the main driver behind the idea is passion. So we were, my team and I were very passionate about seeing this idea work, especially for Moroccans. So we approached some ministries, about 5 or 6 of them that are involved in this process. And one of them is the Ministry of Modernization. And they were pretty seduced with the idea. However, they asked, okay, who uses this? And then we said, nobody, on the planet. So this is a new way of doing things. And they said, okay, well, we appreciate the innovation, but we need proof that it works. So we said, well, the only way that we can do so is if you allow us, give us a city or muqata'a to try this in. And it took a few months, but finally they called us back and they said, okay, we want you to test. And we went with them and tested in Fqih bin Saleh. So, like any solution, starting is difficult, especially that it hasn't been used before. So we are into stabilization phase, bugs and also functionality, because we tried to improvise. We never had an expert on our team. So now we have good feedback on how to adjust things and how to make things easier to adopt and to use on the citizen and also on the administration agent. So proof of concept is important, because seeing is believing. So you can have this great idea, but if people can't see it, can't touch it, can't relate to it, they're not going to see it. So,
Asa, your previous experience was in a company that was in the same industry than yours, if I remember well. Going to Sudan, was it enough for you to bring a new tool and to sell this new software just because you were an expert, or because Sudan was under embargo, or because you proved that your solution was really efficient and could meet their needs?
I do think that this question requires more than 2 hours to reply for it. But
You
I will
have
try to
30
go
seconds.
faster. So going international, and specifically going international in Africa, is a lot of challenges. And we can talk about ethnics, we can talk about corruption, we can talk about risks, we can talk about lot of parameters that you should learn, that you should manage, that you should understand. And the main problem is that this learning process takes a lot of time. And takes a lot of time means that will cost so much money. So this maybe one of the main problems of an entrepreneur is that he's always trying to go alone. I do think that today, within our countries, we have sufficient knowledge of such market that we should join efforts for all of us, okay? I don't advise everyone to go to Sudan alone, okay? It will be hard to get it.
So are you the Moroccan ambassador of Sudan?
I have an experience to share with everyone who wants to get it.
Okay, so don't hesitate to get in touch with him. So just to end up with this first party about how we do business abroad, may I ask you to summarize in few words your advice to these people on how to go international, either the first idea or willingness or hunger or whatever your advice is, but please just in few words, what is your advice for people in this venue to go international?
Go ahead.
So try to find the lessons that you will not find in any school, neither in engineering school, neither in an MBA school, just to find the lessons from reality, from real people who experienced Africa. Mainly, I'm insisting on Africa. Some jokes, for example, for Africa, it will take more than 2 words. You can't deal with people that are corrupted and people that are not corrupted at the same time. You have to show your game, even you are dealing with corrupted people or the honest people. You can't deal with 2 ethnics in the same country. And one more advice, mainly, and this is, I think that it is an error within Occidental countries. They are looking for Africa as a single market. Africa is not a single market, it's 54 countries with specific for each country. It's not one market, it's 54 markets, which are completely different one from the other. So don't look at Africa like Asia or like India, okay? It's a huge market, but it looks like all people are maybe black, with seems looks like, but they are very different from one country to another, from one ethnic to another ethnic. Okay, so maybe one thing that we have learned maybe after 4 or 5 years, don't try to focus for all Africa. We have just tried to focus where headquarters of the bank exist. And by focusing on the headquarters, I can get 15 countries within one deal. No need to go deeper in each country to get customer in each country. It will cost you so much money, so much time, and maybe you will be just getting the keys out of the box.
So you can see he has the business flair, and I think you have mentioned two things: learning by doing,
Exactly.
and considering culture in the context of doing business. And with this cultural dimension, it can make you become very
It's
successful.
much more visible in Africa. Africa is a relationship-based market. It's not based on transaction. It's not based on tracking record. It's not based on the ability of your software. It's much more based on relationship and human relationship.
Okay, but you still do your proofs and make sure that your product is working.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yes, yeah.
Just to stay in Africa, yes. We learned it. We're learning it the hard way. It's very hard. It's a large market. Countries are very different. Cultures are very different. So as an advice, please get to pioneers to get feedback before heading to those countries to shorten the path. And my advice is never fear to fail. It's very important to fail and again and experience things so that you can tune your way, the way you're doing the business, depending on your target markets. And basically what we didn't find by that time is we didn't have pioneers to go and ask for advices. So again, if anyone is interested, I'll be very happy to share my experience.
Well, thank you very much, Yasir. So, Yasir is talking about a concept that is very interesting, and I love it, is the fail forward, because in Morocco, we don't share enough about the fail forward. Failing is just natural. I mean, when you do entrepreneurship, when you start a new venture, you have to consider that failure is success, have almost the same probability to happen. And when you face a failure, you don't have to stop. You have to continue to make effort to be successful. I remember in October or November 2014 in Marrakesh, there was the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, and Vice President Joe Biden delivered a very inspiring speech. And during that speech, he said that failing forward was probably one of the things that differentiates America from the rest of the world, because failure is not very, it's not something that's negative in the US, while in countries like ours, we're probably ashamed of failure. So please don't consider failure as an end. Just consider that failing forward is an option we need to consider every day. Thank you very much, Yasir. Tariq, your advice?
Well, along on failure, I think when you're an entrepreneur, you don't fail, you don't lose, you learn. So you either win or you learn. So either way, it's all win. So going back to Africa, the way I like to think about it is Morocco is a school. Morocco is a good school, but the university is Africa. So in doing business in Africa, you've got, standard, typical areas, and this is addressed to my friends who are coming back from the US. You've got, black area and white area. So you either know clearly or something is dark and you have no visibility. So in Africa, you have to be able to do business in gray area.
50 shades of gray.
Just one shade of gray. And like Asa said, there are corrupt people, and they're, on the same table, you could be sitting with someone who's corrupt, and the other side, someone who's not. And you have to be smart enough to, negotiate your deal or send your message in a way that, it passes at all levels. So, and secondly, do your research about the country you're going to. Even if it's hard, we don't have things that are accessible about these countries online. But what you can do is network, build local contacts, people that can share things with you. But again, remember, Africa is the university, so you have to be careful. So for instance, I'm not going to name any countries, but you can go in certain countries where everybody is the president's cousin. So you don't want that, No one can have that big of a family. So you just have, to proceed, carefully and network and know your ground and be respectful of the culture. Like you said, it's 54 countries. It's not one nation. And it's 54 cultures, over 2,000 languages. So you really have to know where you're going before you go there.
He's a marketing guy, and I liked his quotes. Morocco is a very good school. University is Africa. I'll use it for myself. Okay. Now, another topic that may interest the audience is raising money, fundraising. I think you have, all of you, tried to raise some funds outside of Morocco. I think Yassir has an extensive experience, and probably you could share with us how you started your journey in the valley, Silicon Valley, trying to get some money from...
Basically, I was not trying to raise money. I was trying to the assessment of my solution. When you're getting such feedbacks from Europe, basically, and Middle East, I wanted to do the exercise, do the assessment of what I had, and go where it is tough, where people have they're used to innovation. So this is why I went to the Silicon Valley, to the US, and through an organization called Seed, and I just also sent mails to ask for rendezvous to do presentations. So I went there, I met with business angels, VCs, different levels, just to do the exercise and to do the assessment of what I had, and to see if we had really something innovative and the opportunity. So the feedbacks were great, basically, amazingly good. And when you do this exercise, you see the difference between Silicon Valley and the rest of the world. Their things go very, very fast. But the problem is they would ask you to move there. They cannot give you finance if you're not located there. So it was a great experience, and hopefully we can, yesterday we talked about some relays, Moroccans living in the US that would do the relay and try to bring some investors to Morocco, because we're lacking a lot of investors here.
So if I understand well, you could be successful again in trying, well, in doing what you were doing, even if I consider it like an exercise of raising funds, and there was a condition.
Yes.
If you want to raise funds, you have to move to the US.
We had no issue in raising funds there.
Okay.
It was like clear for them, for
Okay.
the VCs I met there. The problem was our location. They
Okay.
didn't know where we were coming from.
Okay, thank you. There's one thing that's particular among the three of our successful entrepreneurs. They have all been selected by Endeavor, which is a scale-up organization that helps companies like the three companies our entrepreneurs are running to become massive, to become big, and to scale up. So by doing this selection and by going through the process, can you give us some advice on how, because the selection for Endeavor to be selected internationally, you have to prove your concept, you have to prove your market, you have to prove that you are a leader, and you have to prove that there is an inflection point, a momentum, where you could move from a straightforward company to an exponential growth company. And by doing this, you meet a lot of people, you meet a lot of famous people sometimes, and they can have a deep analysis of your business and provide you with some advices. So could you tell us about how you lived in this process, Endeavor process?
So, I do think that Endeavor process came later, but before getting to Endeavor process, I do believe that all about entrepreneurship. It's about time. Everything should take a time to be cooked well. So before getting to a process for Endeavor, before raising money, one of the major things that we think for is how to have a company that is well done from the beginning with a very good track record of financial, clear vision of the financials. So this is a prerequisite, I think, even for raising money, for Endeavor selection process, and for all that. And for guys that are startup in their companies today, I do think that the last thing they are thinking for is how correct and how rigorous is the financial of the company or of the startup. One advice, start your company as a multi-billion company from the beginning with clear rules, with taxes, with the government, with all the stakeholders of the company. And one day, all this information will serve you during the raising money process, during the Endeavor process, which is so hard, but it just makes us be aware about maybe one thing that Endeavor bring to us. We have more been focusing in such 20 countries on banked population. And within the process of Endeavor, they just open our eyes how we can address the unbanked population in Africa. There are 1 billion people, okay, that are unbanked, and for whom we can provide them tools to pay, tools to survive, and tools to live. And today we are creating within this project a huge project, very dreaming project that will just be a competitive of Visa or MasterCard in Africa for almost 1 billion population.
Well,
Thanks to Endeavor.
I think it's a good insight. Another code then, start your business just like it's a multi-billion-dollar business from day one. Well, thank you very much. Yes, here?
The
Endeavor, more
the
focus
Endeavor-
on Endeavor because you
the-
already spoken about some.
The process of Endeavor is very, very important. I mean, going through such process because it structures you, it forces you to have a clear vision, to do your math, basically, to do your homework. The way VCs would like to see it. So the process is very important. And it gives us the global view that we are lacking here in Morocco. Basically, when we start a business here, we only see and look for the Moroccan market, African market. But the vision that Endeavor would bring is how to have this global market vision and how you build your business to go globally without any constraints. And this is very important as a process, as a structuring process.
Okay, thank you. Tarek?
Endeavor, in our case, has been just an amazing experience. It's been a learning experience, and it still is. So before we got to Endeavor, we were participating in a series of events or competitions where we've been having fun assembling all these prices. And to us, the first view on Endeavor was a context. So here's another context we're going to win. So we're going to take this home. But it turns out that, no, it's not a contest. It's actually a learning process. And it challenges you to think bigger, to broaden the picture. Because when we started, our target was just the Moroccan target. We're just, worried about, our friends, 30-some million Moroccans that have to do all these administrative stuff every day and how we want to facilitate their life. So in our business planning, we're estimating number of transactions, how many transactions per day, per city. And then when we got into Endeavor, one of the first people that challenged me on growth was actually Shafiq himself, saying, why just Morocco? Why not internationally? I mean, this is a solution that could be used everywhere. So throughout Endeavor process, we met a lot of interesting people. The first thing you get is access to capital talent. And capital talent is very important. When you're an entrepreneur, you're passionate. You think you know everything. You think you have all the answers, and you're not going to listen to anybody. But the first step is taking your ego out of the equation because it gets in the way of learning. And second, when you meet these amazing people, whether in Morocco or internationally, you share your idea or your business with them, and in a few minutes, they turn around and give you other ideas that you could never have on your own, that you could spend time thinking about it. So that has been great. And once we've been selected, now we're participating in events and on raising funds. I mean, another example how I'd say cocky I was at first. One of the first questions they asked me at Endeavor is, do you need to raise funds? I was confident. I said, no, I don't need to raise funds. I can make this work myself. But then when I started thinking internationally, I started getting scared. And then I saw two scenarios. My scenario of 100% independent, I don't need the bank, I don't need anybody, I have contracts that make me money, that I can invest in research and development and marketing and move forward. But then again, when you look at that plan, it's a hedge round concept. I mean, you're going to move, but you're going to move slowly. Or you could take risk, raise funds, talk to business angels, and explode internationally and reduce that time to market. So I like the better approach, and it's fun. It's fun because it's new things you're learning. It's a challenge, and it makes you wake up, dancing and going to work. Even if you're broke and you have no money, you're still, happy that you're doing the work that you're doing. So I advise, startups, if you have a great idea, approach Endeavor. They might have good advice. So
thank you very much, Tarek. As we're coming to the end, and before I hand over to the audience for a quick session of Q&A, I just want to say a few words. When you look back 2 or 3, 4 years ago, we were not talking about entrepreneurship in Morocco. It was a failure option instead of something great to accomplish. Now, with this roundtable, one of our purposes was to tell you that starting a business is something that could turn to be successful. And I think these guys were just at the same level 10 years ago, and they were just dreaming about a future. And consider now that they are successful and they express themselves in front of you, and they still have a lot of success to come. So please start your business and be confident in yourself. That's one. 2, I think it's very important to consider international markets and to have a go-to-market that's more global and outside our boundaries, because sometimes we limit ourselves because we think that doing business somewhere else is more challenging. And I think this can be, for Isa, for example, the first selling experience, the first paying clients. If you did your homework, the Canva, the business model Canva, and what we're looking for at the end of the early stage is to have the first paying clients. And I think the first paying clients can be outside. Then when you consider your growth, international could be a very good pipeline for business to grow and keep up with your business. And then what I wanted at the end of this discussion to share with you, that these guys are preparing for a new journey now, which is the scale up, moving from something that is sustainable and you can live with it, you can pay your car, you can pay your house, but this is not about, not what you're doing or you want to do. You want to scale up, you want to become big, and I think this is very important. So going international and going big is very important for us, because after startup, we're looking for the first unicorn in Morocco, meaning that we're looking for the first company that will get to $100 million very soon, and I hope it's one of us or the guys that are in the room. That was my word, and I'll hand over to you. If you have some questions, we will be happy to answer.
From the company Home Deal. So my question is to Tarek, is about your project. So is your project working right now? And what's going to make it different from the other? I mean, because you can get birth certificate from, online and the other kind of certificate. So you think your project is viable in the long term? Thank you.
Right now, it's live in Conakry, like I said, it's working. In Qeib and Sarah, it's still in pilot mode, and we're waiting, for the decision to move from pilot mode on forward. We're involved in talks with several cities, Rabat, Casablanca, to do the same thing. The difference between our system and other systems, the first thing is the approach. Most e-government systems have a bottom-down approach. Okay, so, an top-down approach. I'm losing my
bottom
thoughts.
down is not a very good start.
It's still the same level, right? So a top-down approach in government solutions takes a lot of time. Why? Because I'll give you a simple example. So interconnected government systems between two ministries could take years. Why? Simple fact. Sometimes inside one ministry, two services don't get along, don't want to share data, or can't collaborate. So our approach is bottom up, meaning we start with the citizen. What does the citizen need on daily basis? We build on his needs, and then we converge at the top to build an interconnected system. Our 5 services that we aimed at are very simple. That's what Moroccans or people use all over Africa, okay? Signature notary, copy certification, residence certification, declaration of a loss of a document, and birth certificate. I challenge any of you here to find one administrative procedure that doesn't use at least one of these 5. Okay, I'll give you an example. You lose your ID, first thing you gotta do is declare that it's lost and get a residence certification. So these are 2 trips that could take a day or 2 or 3, depending on whether you find them muqaddam or not. Okay, so our approach is pretty simple. Once you're registered on an e-kiosk, you can do them from your mobile phone. You can pay and everything. And our approach is better than the existing procedure that's based on paper, okay? We solve 22 issues with 16 answers. We eliminate paper, we digitize payment, we eliminate stamps, and we eradicate fraud. Everybody wins in our approach, everybody. The citizen, the agent, the government, the whole nation. The only losers in our approach are the frauders. Now they can't fraud. So.
Maybe we'll take 2 or 3 questions before we answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that's all. Okay, you can see we will take 5 questions.
Who let this guy come in?
What's up, Tariq? It's been a while. Hi, everyone. From Microsoft. I would like to hear you, gentlemen, on 2 main points. First, regarding hiring. Like the startup engineering requires some set of very specific, let's say, deep skills and some kind of versatility you have to do. So how was your hiring? Did you have to do any ramp up for your hirees? How was the risk? We say that the early employees are extremely important. They can corrupt the company or make it. So how was your experience regarding that? And my second question, I would like to hear you more on the iterations. How did you do any MVPs, any minimum viable products? Did you get the feedback all the time from the market? How do you iterate, especially you, Tariq, with the government? How was this first muqata'a you did, and how was the experience around that? Thank you.
Okay, we'll take the other questions and then we'll go to the answers. Second question. So human resources and iteration with the clients. Okay.
Thank you, Munir Mourid, 212 Academy. I'm very happy to see how Moroccan companies, especially IT companies, successful at national level and international level. My question is, can we say that Morocco is the leader in IT in Africa? Thank you.
Okay. Third question.
Hi, my name is Reda Al-Khlifi. I'm an investment banker and aspiring entrepreneur. I have some ideas, and I think I'll join you guys to find my startup this year or next year. And I've been looking around, and how do you find seed financing in Morocco? So we talked about that for you, for example. Silicon Valley VCs and were willing to found you if you were in USA, but how do we, not early stage, really seed financing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, seed funding, okay. We have another question, yeah?
Okay, my name is Amin again. I'm a security manager and payment system provider. So my question is for you, Mr. Isa. From my small experience with the Moroccan banks, I think no one here in Morocco have the courage to change their systems. Moving from, we even still see actually using all the operation system like XP and even all the software payments. So I think you have a good experience with this. Can you give us some opinion about it?
Okay, I have one at the middle, I think, yeah. I'll take the last one then, okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Said Borhim, founder of Skynet Systems. I want to thank you so much for this event. I'm really happy to be among these lovely people. My question is, financial difficulties are not the only ones that we are facing. There are also real estate difficulties. I'm just want you to give me ideas about how you find location for your companies. I mean...
location?
Yeah, because...
okay. Office?
Office,
okay.
Yes. So, many of us are kind of homeless companies. So, we have... Thank you. So we have addresses, we have, but we don't have office. We can't grow if we don't have office. We cannot hire people. We cannot see our clients. So this is very difficult for us. So I want you to tell me how you take this challenge.
Okay, and thank you. The last question, the really last question, and we'll finish.
Hi, thank you. My name is Safa Al-Asrawi. My question is for Algo. When you come up with a solution that is so innovative with automated, do you find some resistance at some point from the people working at Muqata'as being threatened of losing their jobs, or such resistance?
So they're putting pressure on me. We are already late, 4 minutes late, and I think we will need 6 more or 7 more, so you will excuse me. Okay, so just so you have to give us quick answers. Right. First answer to you, Tariq, is about iteration with your clients and the resistance in Al-Muqata. Okay.
So
1 minute.
I'm going to answer fairly quickly about all of them. So on hiring, well, hiring is always a challenge anywhere in the world. So the first, I'd say hiring was 3 phases for us. The first phase was back in the day when we didn't have money to pay people. So I asked people to work for free, 3 months, 6 months, and consider that as an investment. And then once we sign a contract, they will be paid and eventually become associates, and that's what happened. So then we went to a phase where we were growing fast, and we needed to just hire because we were in RFPs. And that was the worst phase because we were hiring anybody. So, and now the phase we're in is we're taking our time and making sure we select good people based on certificates, based on coding contests and tests. So same thing with government and rotation. The challenge is that if you want to win RFPs in Morocco, you have to have people with 5 years of skills, good CVs. The problem with people with experience in our example is that they came pre-configured. They came with a mindset, and you can't change them. I honestly prefer young people with no experience because, first of all, they're passionate. So one of my tricks is I participate with you guys on Microsoft Innovation Cup as a judge. Why do I do that? Simply for selfish reasons. That's where I detect passionate people, innovators, okay? And that's where we pick them, and we have a lot of them. So. Also, is Morocco number 1 in Africa? Yeah, I'd say yes. Hell yes. We're number 1 in a lot of things. Seed funding, yes, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. There's a lot of work to be done on that. I mean, I personally, right now we're negotiating with 3 investors in Morocco and 3 investors outside of Morocco, thanks mainly to Endeavor. I'm having a tougher time with the Moroccan investors because they're just in a heavy process where the foreigners, I mean, you could send them a Word document and they believe in you. And here, no, you have to give a sample of blood, DNA, and things like that. So. For office location, just so you know, when Algo started, our first office was Cafeteria de la Gare Agdel. That's where we had our meetings for 6 months. And then when we had an important client, we couldn't have him fly Gare d'Agdel, so we took him to Venezia, okay? So our...
Well, Venezia is a high-end coffee, while Café Agdel Lagar is the train station coffee.
Exactly, that was for the team. So we had our first office after exactly 14 months in business. That's where we had our office, and we kept the same one. We renovated it. You know, it was ridiculous. And lately, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, we just moved to a new office that looks like an office. So it took about 7 years to have a real office.
Thanks to me.
Yeah, he's our neighbor. So that's a prestigious address to say Shafiq Sabir is your neighbor. As far as resistance to change, yes, we faced a lot of resistance at all levels. That's why we were forced to be innovative with our approach. Like I said earlier, we don't want to sell the solution to governments. We want to give it for free. They just sign a convention with us. We give it, we operate it for them. It's a PPP contract. The money we're going to make per transaction, we are giving a percentage of it to these agents. So if we take Muqaddam, for instance, we are willing to verse, a percentage to him because, if some of them are accused of being corrupt, the reality is their salary is meager. They're pushed to that. So we're into sharing our revenue with them to encourage a more inclusive model. So thank you.
Thank you. He took all your time, guys. Anything to add about that? Probably the questions raised by these guys about the payments industry.
I'm 100% aware about your problem, and it is mine, because we are dealing with the banks. Banks are the most people aware about risk. This is their business. If you have already contracted the credit, you know what is it about. And when you are trying to change the security for a bank, touch them in their core, the most risky part of their business, you are just fighting with the devil. Okay, so what does it mean? Don't try to focus on one product. Okay, banks change their system once every 13 years. Okay, so be present. Try to enlarge your number of products you can provide to this bank. Don't focus on only one product. Try to see additional cards. Even if you are not a reseller, you have your own product, but try to get some international cards to present to this customer and to create this confident distrust between you and your customer. And just wait for the opportunity. It will take 2-3 years that this customer, having created this relationship with them, will require your own product. And it will be the time for it. It will take time, enlarge your product, and good luck.
Okay.
Getting back to the question about human resources from Microsoft, I can just say that we have failed. We have tried all, I think, in my opinion, all the possibilities. Higher wages, stock options, all that you can imagine, all that you can learn within an MBA or within an engineering school, we have just failed. Today, what we have tried to do, sorry about that, maybe in my last. So we have created 2 subsidiaries in 2 different countries, one in Congo and one in Ivory Coast, hiring local people there, and we are working to have our technical staff with a subsidiary for technical development in Ethiopia. This is how we are just diversifying and minimizing the risk.
Well, thank you all very much. I think we answered your questions. We answered the 2 questions there, and we answered the question about seed funding and offices. I think we have to recognize that a lot of things have been done for these 2 subjects. I think technoparks, I think workspaces are becoming common in Casablanca or Rabat as well, at least. And for seed funding, I think you have some initiatives, recent initiatives that are coming soon, and that will help probably addressing the seed funding, because yes, you're right, so far it's only banking or love money when you have someone who loves you. Thank you very much. And
great, thank you, gentlemen.